Okay, everybody, thank you very much for coming. It's great to see you all here. My name is David Griffin. I'm the Director of International Study and External Programs. And I'd like to just quickly introduce a couple other people. Here is Carrie McManus. She is the Director of Internships and Student Services in LA, and she's going to be talking to you primarily about the internship search process and from start to finish, how that whole process works. And here is Turi Doust, and she is the residence director. And she has a lot of information to go over with you, particularly because, as you know, we are moving into a new building. And there's going to be a lot of things that are new and different. So she'll be going over some of those things with you as well. And then I'll probably take the last part of the session to talk with you about things like course registration and any other last-minute details that you might have questions about. So before we get started, though, I did want to just say a couple of things about the center. It is going to be, this is a major undertaking for the college, opening this building. And it's going to be very exciting when you get there to finally have students in this building that we've been talking about for a few years. But one of the things that you need to realize is that the building will not be 100% finished when you get there. So anything that pertains to the traditional internship program that we've been running for 25 years, all of that will be ready for you. The housing will be ready, the classrooms will be ready, all of those things will be in place, ready to go when you guys get there. Some of the studios the equipment may not be ready. For instance, I think there's going to be a sound recording studio, but it will not be ready to use when you get there. It should be ready by the time of the opening, the grand opening or official opening of the program, which is going to be in March. But we did, we wanted to just make sure that you guys were aware that there will be some last minute things that they're still going to be working on when you get there. But everything that you need for your classes and for your internships will be in place and ready to go. And one lab that will be up and running is the editing lab, because that is connected to a class that we offer. So that will actually be up and running. But there will be some things that won't. Let's see, what else can I tell you about the building? The building it has 2 residential towers, which Turi will explain a little bit more about that in a few minutes. And the East Tower and the West Tower. And everything in the middle that you see is the administrative offices, the classrooms, the screening rooms, the labs, etc. So the residence halls sort of are on each side of the administrative part of the building. Oh, I didn't know if you were going to be here.
That's okay. That's all right.
Do you want? I was actually just going to start talking about the building,
Okay.
and also about the community service stuff that you want. Do you want to step in?
Sure.
So since we're recording, we just need to do it in front of the mic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you want to just.
One. Yeah, okay, good. Hi, everybody. I'm Kevin Bright, and I'm the founding director for Emerson LA. And I wanted to welcome you, the inaugural group of students for this building, and tell you a few things about the building and some plans about how things are going to be different because we have a building and what comes along with that. So first of all, when you arrive on January 12th, I don't want your expectations to be through the roof. So to that, the building is going to be great, and everything relating to your program is going to be great. but not everything is going to be finished, okay? So you're not going to be walking into a construction zone on one hand, but like, for example, I know now that the post-production audio room is not going to be finished, the editing labs are not going to be finished, and the screening room is not going to be finished. But all of those things, as you know, are new facilities that have never even been part of this program before, so it's not like it's going to affect anything negatively in terms of what you've signed up and what your previous expectations were of the LA program. But I don't want you all arriving on the first, oh my God, I thought everything was going to be finished, and it's not. It's not the end of the world, but it will be finished, and I'll tell you when it'll be finished. It'll be finished March 7th, because there's going to be a big gala opening event in the building March 7th, fundraising event, and it's also going to be a live television show. So now what do I mean by that? Those of you who have participated in the EVIs or are planning to participate in the EVIs, it's going to be a great primer for you, because it's going to be a very large live event, and the way it's going to be done for television is kind of think of something like the Kennedy Center Honors, something like that. Basically, it's going to be introducing this building, and you're going to get to know the building through student hosts and other students that'll be on different floors, and then there's a big finale at the end of it with performance and a couple of speeches thrown in for good measure. So anyhow, the other big difference about having this building and how we should treat our presence in Los Angeles is when you're out in a hotel in Burbank, it's a lot of fun, but now it's our building, we're responsible, we're in a community in Hollywood where we not only want to make a good impression, we want to make a contribution. So first of all, one piece of sad news, the building is a LEED certified building. That means it's a green building. So you can't smoke within 25 feet of the building. So the good part of that is we've already been thinking about things like that for you guys who have the nasty habit, and no judgment though. So I used to have it too. So we're making arrangements down the block. There are 3 businesses, the Lancy Pizza, there's a Sliders Place, and the Cantina Bar. And they're all owned by the same person. So I'm just going to go down there, and I think that's going to be our smoking spot. And it's not a big walk. It's not like, oh my God. And it's not like the middle of winter here where I really don't want to have to walk 25 feet to be able to smoke a cigarette because I'm going to freeze. You know, that's not going to happen in LA. Yes, it does get us down as far as 50 degrees in the wintertime, but you know, it's not going to bum you out. So there's that. But you know, we even want to be conscious about things like smoking, because it's just like now, if you throw your butts on the street, you just have to be aware of it, because if they start piling up, you're in a neighborhood now and people are going to complain. There's a place called, I didn't mention it's the last thing, there's a place called East West Recording Studios that's right across the street from us. We want to stay away from their front door. Don't smoke on that side of the street. Don't go to that side. Not a nice establishment towards the college, and that's fine. They can continue their business, but I'm just telling you, they're not going to be friendly. So we want to stay away from them. And then I think, you know, we just want to make an effort to make a contribution. You know, it's like I'm leading AIDS Walk in LA this Sunday. It's about creating a different presence for the college, a different perception about why we're there. So whether it's something that I might organize to go out to the Motion Picture Home, which is in the San Fernando Valley. And there are some incredible legends of the TV and motion picture industry who are out there, and they certainly would appreciate your time, and I think, you know, if given the opportunity to, you'd appreciate theirs and learn something in the process. So, where were those sheets? Yes. So at the end, there are some sign-up sheets, and I just want to tell you briefly what they're about. There's one that says ELA Saturday workshops, and what that's about is every Saturday, and I know it's after a Friday night, and I know that there are challenges with that, but I'm going to be bold and say you know, if there's a great learning opportunity on Saturday, I think you guys will take advantage of it. So right now it's scheduled 11:30 to 1:30 on Saturday, so you know it's not too miserable. And whether it's a great cinematographer, a director, or a screening with a panel, it'll be all kinds of opportunities, an opportunity to meet some of our great alumni and to network with them and to start to get ideas about what you might do after you finish your semester in Los Angeles. So that's the ELA Saturday Workshop one. And then, as I was just talking, there's community outreach, okay? So those of you who want to be involved in events and, you know, when I say community outreach, you can be serving the college, you can be serving the community, you can be serving the city of Los Angeles. We're going to have opportunities on all those fronts. So if you're just the type of person who's, you know, wants to maybe potentially even be involved in service for a career after you leave Emerson, I think this is something that is for you. Emerson Gala event team, okay? What the event team is going to be doing is basically doing all the things that put the actual event together. Part of the response, some of you may be chaperones to the people who are coming to the event that night will be mostly alumni, will be a paying audience of alumni, so it'll be a good audience of alumni. So it's a good opportunity if you're not a television production student and you just want to work the event for the experience of it for some reason or another, that one is for you. And then there's the Emerson Channel production team. Okay, those of you who are in the Emerson Channel, it's kind of an extension of what you're already doing. I know I should be here, but I'm loud, so it'll probably get on there. It'll be an opportunity to for you to continue to do production out in LA. I've got some nice new cameras that I bought for out there for the film students. They're brand new Sony Super 35 HD with prime lenses. And then I've got two brand new ENG Sony HD cameras. So you're going to be able to continue to do work out there. And as far as the Emerson Channel goes, I've asked Diana for your involvement in creating, first of all, an original show that comes from Los Angeles. It could be a live show, it could be an interview show, it could be you going around town and looking at LA from a Boston perspective and saying, when you get here, stay away from this, or whatever the purpose of it may be. It can be about the entertainment industry from a kind of guerrilla perspective. It can be anything. But I want programming from out there. And I also want pieces for the morning show, you know, sort of overnight edit kind of pieces to be done out there. So if you're interested in doing that kind of stuff for the Emerson Channel, sign up to that sheet. And then the last sheet is the Gala Live television production team. Basically, this team is going to be handling the television side of the opening gala, the live event side. There is going to be not only fantastic alumni who are going to be involved in this, kind of in mentoring and sometimes in key crew positions because of, you know, we have a shortage, you know, with the amount of people coming out there. We're going to need to crew from some alumni, but also it's a chance for you guys to work with, you know, many of you may not know these names off the top of your head, but trust me, they're huge. Bob Dickinson, who's the lighting designer for every major award show on television, is going to be mentoring that night and supervising the lighting crew. Glenn Weiss, who directs the Tony Awards every year and co-produces them, is going to be supervising the directing crew on that show. So there's going to be fantastic professionals who are going to be there tonight, working with our students, working with our alumni to make this incredible live event that's kind of Evie-like to just describe the scope of it. So if you're interested in that, this is the one for you. I'm interested in hearing from you guys. Please send me an email on my Emerson EDU account, and I'm interested in what you're looking forward to. And then when you get out there, what you like, what you don't like so much, a little bit less of what you don't like. But you know, I'm hoping that you're going to enjoy it. But also, you know, from the experience, help me make it better for students to come. I think it's always easy for us to bitch about our situation. That part comes easy, but turning it into something productive takes a little bit more effort. So I just ask you for that effort if you're going to criticize. And I thank you all for coming, and I will see you all out in Los Angeles in the spring.
Thank you, Kevin.
Parking, I think, was the only
I'll mention that, yes. One of the things that, before I turn the floor over to Carrie, Kevin asked me to just mention briefly the parking in LA is actually, there will be a charge for that. Because now we own this building, we're responsible for the upkeep of the building, the maintenance, all of that. We cannot provide free parking. However,
paying for the parking at the Oakwood anyhow, it's just kind of lumped in there.
exactly.
And everybody charges.
When the students are living at Oakwood, they, you know, it's not that they get free parking, it's that the parking is included basically in the price of what they pay. So there will be a charge of parking. We don't know exactly what that charge is going to be. I've heard a number of different figures. The most consistent figure I've heard is $150 per month, but that's not definite yet. You will all be given a...
Sounding good.
Yes, if you bring a car, have a car, you'll have a transponder that will allow you to enter the parking facility and leave the parking facility as you need to. The parking is all underground; it's all beneath the building. And another one of the reasons that we have to provide our own parking is because, as Kevin was saying, we have to be good neighbors in the neighborhood, and we cannot have students parking on the streets in the neighborhood. I mean, you can just imagine if you were living in a neighborhood and then 200 students descended on your neighborhood and started taking all your parking, you would not be very happy about that. So we have to provide parking for all of our students and the people that work in the building, and unfortunately we do have to charge for that. But you'll be getting more information about that at a later date.
It does create options for you. We're going to have zip cars in the building, so you can decide, you know what, maybe if you know, roommates or whatever, you decide you know what, we're interning at the same place, we could actually share a car and make that work for us. You know, so this gives you that option, and if you're sharing a car, then you're only paying for one space. So you're really saving money when you start to do that. So you should think about those options.
Exactly. So I think what I'd like to do now is turn the floor over to Carrie and let her begin talking to you about the internship program, the internship search. And just remember, if you do have any questions, just wait for me to get to you with the mic so that the recording will pick you up. So Carrie, if you'd like to take the floor.
Hi, guys. Nice to see you all. Yeah, very exciting time for all of us. You are embarking on a new frontier along with us, and we're excited to have you working with us for the new year. So basically what I want to talk to you a little bit about is how to prepare for the internship search, the internship part of your experience in LA. How many people have been to LA before? Okay, a fair number. Okay. For those of you who haven't, it's an amazing city. And I think you'll find that it's a very large city and incredibly diverse, and I think it really has something for everybody. It's just finding that something that you're looking for.
Something is just an hour away from where you are.
Exactly. I was telling the other students, if New York is the Big Apple, I always think of LA as the Big Onion. It's a little zesty. It might make you cry. But if you pull back the layers, there's a lot to see and do, and I really do feel like you will find your place there. You just have to kind of peel back those layers and find your space. So it's an exciting time, and basically what we want you to start thinking about over the next several months is how to prepare for the internship search and how to start sending out applications to internship sites. So this information here, this is a timeline of kind of what what we're talking about in terms of dates, what kind of dates you should be thinking about over the next couple of months. David's office is actually going to be sending this out to you electronically, so you will be getting a copy of it. Obviously, this evening we have your orientation, and how many of you, are you all using your emerson.edu addresses at this point? Yeah? Is there anybody who isn't? No? Good, good. The reason I ask that is because we send all of the information from our office to your emerson.edu addresses. So we want to make sure that those addresses are in good working order. If for some reason you're having any difficulty with those addresses, please contact the IT help desk here in Boston. We want to make sure that you're getting all of the information that we're going to be sending to you over the upcoming months, because we'll be sending you a lot of information via email. So really the first thing after, double checking on your email addresses is to make sure that you have a good resume and cover letter template written. This is really your professional calling card and your first introduction to any company. You're basically representing yourself on paper, so you want to make sure that it's a great representation of who you are. If you're not representing yourself well, more than likely they're not going to contact you. We do have a student who's in the program right now who was sending out information and had not had his information looked at by Career Services, and it wasn't a resume. It was just random information, and he wasn't getting any calls back. So there was a 6-month period that he was sending this information out and not getting calls back. So he lost out on a lot of opportunities because he just wasn't representing himself as well on paper. So please, you really need to go and see Career Services. They're going to be offering a number of workshops for you specifically around resume writing and cover letter writing. So make sure that you attend one of their workshops, and if for some reason you can't attend the workshop, make it an individual appointment. You can set up an individual appointment with the office, and one of the Career Services representatives will be able to work with you in crafting a really strong resume and kind of helping you to set up a good cover letter. It's really important that you do that. How many of you are familiar with eHire? Great. Okay, some of you are, some of you aren't. eHire is the database that Career Services uses for internships and jobs. That's also the database that we use for our internship information. And I'll be showing that to you in just a minute. But in eHire, there is a tools section. There's a tool tab that has templates for resumes and cover letters as well. So that's another resource to use. But you really need to go and see Career Services yourself, or at least email them your information so they can have somebody take a look at it for you. We want to make sure that you're representing yourself really well. So once you get your resume and cover letter set up, that's going to be over the next, probably over the next month, I would say. You want to focus on getting that taken care of and at least having a basic template written. With the cover letter, what you'll do is if you have that template, you can tweak it to the different companies that you're sending to. But you want to make sure you have a good, solid kind of template for that before you send out to any companies. Our advising period with you is going to be starting on the 21st of October in the next few weeks. And basically what that means is you'll be able to contact us, ask us any questions about any of the companies that you're interested in, certainly talk to us a little bit about your background, your experience, and what you're interested in doing while you're in LA. For those of you whose last names begin with A through K, I'll actually be your advisor. And for those of you whose last names begin with L through Z, Larry Caldwell is going to be your advisor. We basically have 2 advisors for internships in the LA office. Larry and I just split you up into 2 groups, and we each advise half the group. So we're available for questions from anybody, but it makes it a little bit easier if we can kind of divide up the group and kind of make sure that we're fielding questions in that regard. So A through K is me, and L through Z is Larry Caldwell. Again, our email addresses are in this information, so that will be given to you shortly. So basically, during that advising period, really what we want to have you start, well, even before this, right now, we want to have you start thinking about what it is you want to start looking at for your LA experience. My recommendation is really to kind of focus your search and think about maybe 1 or 2 areas that you might be interested in exploring for the semester. How many VMA majors do we have? Okay. Within that group, how many are interested in, say, film production? Okay. What about TV production? Okay. Writing for film and TV? Okay. Post-production? Great. Audio? Cinematography? I know that's kind of all over the place. Okay. What about our marketing majors? How many marketing? Great. Okay. Anybody advertising, PR? Excellent. Broadcast journalism? Great. How about WLP? Great. Okay. Performing arts? I love that we have more performing arts majors. That's great. I'm so excited about that. Did I miss anybody? Who am I missing? Anybody? Okay. So depending on your major, we encourage you to really kind of focus on, like I said, 1 or 2 areas. Now that might mean, if you're a marketing major and you kind of know the track that you want to head down, maybe you're interested in entertainment marketing. We have a number of great opportunities in those areas, and we can certainly point you toward those opportunities. They'll be pretty self-explanatory, I think, in the e-hire system. And certainly if there are companies that you're interested in looking at yourself, you can do that as well. But e-hire might be a good first resource for you. And certainly if you have questions, we can answer those questions for you as well. But say if you're a marketing major and okay, entertainment marketing is where I want to be. Great, that's fantastic. Maybe you have a writing minor, and you decide that you don't want to focus on marketing, you want to focus on screenwriting for the semester. You're still allowed to do that. It's just with the understanding that your cover letter will have to explain to a company why a marketing major is applying to a more writerly kind of, or a position that is slightly off topic for them. I mean, it is applicable, and I think if you can kind of explain your interest, it's very easily translatable to them, but it's important to be able to explain why you would be applying for something that might not be your specific major. I would say most students do kind of stick to an internship that does directly seem to apply to their major, in which case that would be an easy translation for a site. And so you just want to kind of think about, again, what you want to focus on. For those of you who are VMA majors who are looking for production experience, it's very difficult to get onto a feature film. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about that and manage the expectations around that. With feature films that are union sets, they will not take interns. The craft unions are really strict about having their members working on set and doing the work that is allotted to those specific union members. They have very strict rules around that, which means they will not take on an intern. You're not a union member, and you're not allowed to touch anything that would be related to those union positions. However, there are non-union opportunities. Feature films are very hard to come by, but there are music video and commercial production companies that we can recommend to you that are non-union based, in which case you would be able to work in the production office, start to see how those jobs are bid on, how they're secured, basically the production process within the pre-production and production in the office, as well as being on set when those productions go up. Usually they're using interns as PAs when available. So if you're looking for on-set experience, that's probably a great way to go. I know for some of you who might be, if anybody's interested in, say, production design, or if you're looking for camera work, camera, you could go with a camera rental house, or you could go with the on-set experience. And if you're doing that, it seems like it might be a little more of a circuitous route, because you could be a general PA. But really, it's a great way to be able to get that hands-on experience and then work your way through to being able to potentially work with the camera department. It might take a little bit longer, and like I said, it's not as direct, but it's another great way to get that experience. So anybody who's interested in, say, below-the-line on-set experiences, I would recommend that that's a good way to go for you if that's what you're interested in, okay? Is anybody not going to have a car? Is anybody thinking about not having a car while they're in LA? Okay. We always have a handful of students who are thinking about it or they're not sure. I would say this, not having a car in LA presents significant challenges. That's not to say it's impossible. We always have 1 or 2 students every semester who don't have cars. So I would just recommend that if you're not going to have a car, please contact Larry or myself. Let me know, let us know who you are, what you're interested in terms of your internship, and we can hopefully recommend places that will be a little closer to where the new building will be, as opposed to having you intern somewhere that would be much farther away. For instance, Santa Monica is a very popular place for a lot of companies to be housed and located, operating. If you're by car during rush hour traffic, it could take you potentially hour and a half, depending on the traffic. LA traffic is completely unpredictable. By bus, if you were to try and do that, it could be 3 bus transfers, potentially. That could be close to 2 hours one way. So we just want to make you aware of the challenges around that. And if you let us know, we can work with you and help you with that. If you think you're not going to have a car, just let us know and we'll find a way to work with you and find some companies that might be a little closer to where you'll be living, okay? All right, the other thing, we only allow for students to do 1 internship. And the reason for that is we've had some conflicts with companies who don't want interns working for their competition. It also has been incredibly beneficial for students to immerse themselves in 1 opportunity with 1 company for the duration of their semester. So that means really being able to be the go-to intern for that company. If you're there 3 or 4 days a week and they get to know you over the first month that you're there and you show that you're just a rock star intern, that's going to bode well. The more they see you, the deeper the relationship you're going to develop with that company, and the better recommendation I think you'll have at the end. I would say one of the misconceptions or one of the big expectations that all students seem to have is that they want the internship that will lead to the job. I want the internship so that I can get a job when I graduate. We know you all want that, and we want that for you as well. The reality is that 9 out of 10 internships or internship opportunities will not directly lead to a job, and we don't know which opportunity that will be that will lead to that job. However, if you do a great job at your internship, you are the rock star intern, what will happen is you're going to get great recommendations from the people who you intern with. If you show yourself to be enthusiastic, you're a team player, you come in with a smile, you're doing everything that they're asking you to do, and you're doing it well and in a timely manner, they're going to want to help you. Everybody starts pretty much in the same place. They start as an intern and move their way through the ranks. So they know how hard it is, and they want to help you if you show that you have a great work ethic and you're great to work with. So just keep that in mind. Focus less on what's going to lead to a job in this moment, and just focus on what you're going to be able to learn, what kind of experience you're going to get. And that job is going to materialize in the right moment. It's just going to take a little time. I know the unknown is the big fear that everybody has. It'll work out. Trust me, it'll work out. So basically, like I said, we want you to start doing your research, start thinking about the areas that you want to intern in. I know for a lot of our performing arts majors, they'll take a look at casting and talent agencies. For broadcast journalism is kind of all over the place. You guys we've had students who have interned with different media companies on the new media side of things as well as television side. And we can certainly talk a little bit more about what opportunities might be available to you if you have any questions about where you might want to go. Certainly entertainment news has been a big focus for broadcast journalism majors. For any of you writers, I know we've had a lot of students who have focused on television and film development. It's a great way to start reading scripts and writing coverage, learning how the development process works. And if you're an aspiring writer, it's a great way to, again, learn the business side. As a creative person, certainly being able to learn the business side and how scripts are greenlit and developed. That's an incredible experience to have. So you start to see what that process is. Again, marketing, we have a lot of great marketing opportunities within the entertainment realm. And predominantly the internships that we focus on are entertainment-based. But if there are any of you who are considering doing anything outside of that realm, we can certainly talk about it. There have been students who've worked with different companies, whether they be nonprofits or more corporate environments, but that's not the norm for us. So if that's something that you want to do, we can certainly talk about it and help you to do some research if there are any opportunities that you might want to explore outside of the entertainment realm. Okay? So as you're going through your research, you might decide, okay, I'm going to take a look at what they have in the Emerson database, and I will show you that. Recent items. And you're basically going to go to, this is going to stay. There it is, myinterface.com/Emerson/student. This link is on the timeline you'll be getting. So this information is in the information you'll be receiving electronically. And then you're going to type in your Emerson email address. Yeah. And your password. And if you have any trouble with the password, it will give you detailed information on how to receive that on this page. And there we go. And it will take you to this main page here. Now you have My Profile. If you take a look, you just want to go into My Profile if you haven't been in recently or if you haven't been in yet. Take a look and make sure that all the information is up to date and that it's filled out properly. We want to make sure that all of the information is filled out as thoroughly as possible. Because what we're going to do next week is when I'm back in the office, Larry and I are going to be tagging you as LA students. We now have the list of students from David. We have all your names and email addresses. And what we're going to be doing, where'd it go? Hello, it's gone. What we're going to be doing is we have to tag you in eHire in order for you to be able to access our LA information. I'm just going to go back to the main page. So if you take a look at job search, this job search tab, if you were to go into eHire right now, the only option you would have is job search because you're not tagged as LA students. Larry and I will be tagging you next week, and then magically you will see the LA program tab as well. If you click on that tab, it will give you information on what we have available in our database. Where's the bar?
You can use 2 fingers.
Just use 2 fingers.
It's not working.
Just like, don't press, but just lightly. Put your finger.
It's not happy with this. Yeah, we'll do it the hard way. It's not happy with my navigation. All right, so for instance, we have a literary management internship here. Come on. There we go. Take a look here. It'll give you the job description, the application instructions. It also gives you a location, the job category. This way you can take a look at all of the sites that we have in the database. You can look at them. You can do a keyword search if you're looking for marketing, if you're looking for broadcast journalism. You can do it by major, you can do it by keyword, and it will give you information on the opportunities that we have listed. So for Ensemble, we have the job description. It tells you a little bit about what interns do and what the responsibilities would be within that position, as well as the application instructions. So you would apply to Jeffrey Thal at jthal@ensembleent.com, and you can send your information off to him when you're ready to send your resume and cover letter out. So, like I said, you can go through this database. If you have any questions about that information, you can contact Larry or myself. We'll also be compiling what we like to call hot site lists, which are kind of like the highlights of eHire, as well as any new opportunities that we're hearing about. All the new opportunities end up in eHire eventually. But if we hear about something just immediately and we want to get it out to you ASAP, we'll put it on the hot site list and make sure that we get it out to you as quickly as possible. Again, we put on frequently requested sites from, we know that students kind of search for certain sites. There are sites that we work with regularly. For instance, we work regularly with Working Title, with Indian Paintbrush, with Playtone. Those are all companies that we've dealt with. We deal with them on basically a semester to semester schedule. So they know our process pretty well, and they're expecting to hear from Emerson students every semester. So you can go in and take a look here. You can also apply through the hot site list that we'll be sending out, and we basically set it up via, we'll break it into categories so that you can look at the internship opportunities that we're sending to you by category. You can also take a look at companies that we may not have on the database. If there's some company that isn't listed and you're really interested in working with them and you're either not sure we've worked with them in the past, you don't see them here, or it's a new company, maybe we don't have a relationship with them yet. You can apply to those sites. Certainly just let us know who they are and who you're in contact with. The site still has to be approved by me before you start the internship. We want to make sure that any opportunity that you're pursuing is a valid one. There are labor law issues around internships. I don't know if some of you have heard about some of the lawsuits that have been happening with internships. The great thing about our program is that we're very well aware of the legalities around that. So we want to make sure you're protected. We want to make sure that the site is protected. It's a win-win. That's what we want, to see you guys have a great experience and to see that the site has a great experience with you and with the college. So it's just making sure that any company that you're working with is a viable company. Any opportunity that you're pursuing is a good one, and that they understand the law around internships so that there aren't any problems down the road. So again, you can take a look at sites that you're interested in here on your own or via the hot site list that we'll be sending. And if you have questions about where to go, if you're not quite sure where you should be applying, you're confused about which direction you want to go, please contact Larry or myself. We've been doing this a while, and we can certainly help point you in the direction of some companies that might be helpful and might be interesting to you. And they might be sites that you've never heard of before. So please use this as a resource. That's what we're here for. Okay. So again, go back to the timeline. Really, we're just looking for you to do your research over the next couple of months after you've got your resume and cover letter template written. We're going to be open to any of your questions, either via email or by phone. If you want to call us, you've got a bunch of questions and it's too lengthy to send an email, give us a call. We're happy to take phone calls from students. So basically, between October 21st and the time that you arrive in LA, we'll be taking any questions from you. We'll be doing, advising emails and phone calls. And I would recommend that you start sending out applications probably by the end of October if you're applying to any of the larger TV networks or film studios. If you're looking at some of the smaller companies, you could probably send out around the start of like, mid-November. Okay. The reason why you have to start so early with the larger networks and studios is because they have lots of applicants, and it takes them a long time to get through those applications and to process all of them. So it can often take 6 weeks for them to get back to you. So it's better that they hear from you now so that you can be considered in their applicant pool. We want to make sure that you have the opportunity to apply before it closes out, and then you don't have the chance to even be considered. I know for a fact, because I met one of the HR reps from Disney last month, he let me know that if you are interested in applying to ABC Disney, to send your information to me, I can pipeline it to him, and that will help to expedite the process on his end. Okay, so if you're interested in Disney, send your information to me and I'll send it to him, and that will get the process started. Most of those companies require that you go through their website and apply electronically. You have to apply through their electronic application for interns or internships on the corporate website. It's something that regardless of how you go through the process, like even if you send this information to me via Disney, he will still have you apply online as well, but this will expedite the process. So it's important to take a look at those websites. I'm going to be sending out links to you regarding all of the big studios and networks where you can find the information for the spring internship opportunities. So you want to send that information, like I said, I would say by the end of this month if you can, even in the next couple of weeks. Better to be sooner, apply sooner rather than later for those particular companies, the larger ones. The smaller ones you can hold off. I would start sending your applications probably mid-November. The trend that we're seeing with companies these days, especially the larger companies, is that they like to do Skype interviews, and oftentimes they'll offer you opportunities before you arrive in LA. We're not big fans of this process because it doesn't allow you to really get the benefit of interviewing face-to-face, which I think is really the best way to interview, because it gives you a sense of what the company culture is, and you get to see where you're actually interning. But I just want to let you know that there may be companies who will ask you to interview via Skype before you arrive, and they may offer you an opportunity before you arrive. If that happens, I would say this. You can certainly take an opportunity if you really feel like it's the opportunity for you. If you feel like it's your dream internship and, oh my gosh, I can't turn this down, this is just too amazing, then by all means take it. But it's with the understanding that once you accept an internship, the company that you've accepted has accepted you, and then they go back to all of their applicants and say, oh, sorry, we've chosen somebody, you're going to have to look elsewhere for your internship. So they've made a commitment to you, and you're making the commitment to them. You don't want to flake out on that. That looks really bad for everybody if you do that. So be sure that you're confident in the decision you're making. If they offer it to you over the phone and you're not sure, don't take it. I know it's not an easy thing, but it's really important that if you make the commitment, that you're going to honor the commitment. And if you're not sure, don't make that commitment, because it will really create problems. We've had to do some significant damage control around situations like that. So we just want to make that clear. If you need to put them off, let them know that you have other interviews lined up and that you're having to make a final decision by the time that you arrive in LA. Some sites will not, they'll basically say, well, we need to know right now, in which case you're going to have to make a decision on the spot, or you might have to make a decision within a day or two. If you're having any difficulty with that, or you're not sure what to do, call us. We can walk you through it. We can talk to you about how to approach the situation, what to say. And most of the sites that we work with are pretty understanding. They understand that you're in a situation where you're maybe interviewing with a couple of different places, and they really want to make sure that you're accepting them with confidence. They don't want somebody who isn't sure they want to be there. That's not good for the company. It's not good for you. So again, if you aren't sure about a company, don't take something right away. It might simply be that you need a little basis for comparison. That's why the face-to-face interviews are better. But again, practically speaking, you might be in a situation where you're going to be offered something on the spot or offered something before you arrive. So we just want to make you aware of that fact. Ideally, we'd love to see that you send out your information before you arrive in LA and then have some interviews lined up once you get there. That's the ideal situation. Really, all we expect that you do is to have your resume and cover letter sent out to the companies that you want to apply to. That's all we expect before you get to LA. Then you have about 2.5 weeks from the time that you arrive to secure your internship. And that gives you an opportunity for those 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, basically to set up interviews, check out, kind of get your bearings, check out what's in town, where these companies are, who the people are that you've been speaking to either over the phone or maybe even via Skype, and really investigate what the opportunity is all about. That tends to be the best way for students to make the most confident choice. But again, you might be in a situation where you're having to make decisions a little bit earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a tip sheet in terms of interviewing. So just so you have a few basic ideas on questions that you might want to consider asking in an interview, especially if you have to do that via Skype. Are there any questions about that? Okay. So like I said, we're going to be going through the advising process with you. You're only allowed to do one internship. There is an academic aspect that's attached to, there's an academic piece that's attached to the internship experience. And this piece is basically a class that meets 3 times over the course of the semester. You meet at the beginning, first week, in the middle, and then once at the end. And then over the course of the semester, you're basically sending journal entries and assignments to your internship professor. I say this only because I know you are all super excited about coming to LA and really excited about the internship experience. We have had students who've done an amazing job at their intern site and totally blown off the academic work. The problem with that is you're doing it for credit. So we have to have a way to assess your progress in an academic way. If you don't do the work, you flunk. And flunking 8 credits of internship, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money and a lot of time. So please just keep in mind that there is an academic component to the internship experience. We want to make sure that you all get through, have a wonderful time in LA, and that your experience is productive and academically successful. So you'll be sending out resumes and cover letters over the next several months, or several weeks actually. You'll be arriving in January. We have a couple of mandatory meetings. You'll basically be moving in on Sunday and Monday, which Terry will be talking about shortly. Tuesday and Wednesday, we have some mandatory meetings. So I would ask that you do not set up any interviews until Thursday the 16th. That's the earliest you should really start setting up any interviews. That way, we can avoid any conflict with any of the meetings. You're going to have your first internship class on that Wednesday, so you can't miss that. There's no way to make it up. So just make sure not to set any meetings for the first few days you're there. Are there any questions at this point?
Do you have I know I've heard from the past that you guys have reviews from past students of all the different
Yes.
sites. Where can we access that, if you guys still have that?
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, because I almost forgot about that. Yeah, we have intern site evaluations available at the Career Services office here in Boston. We also have copies in our office in LA. But if you want to take a look early and start kind of doing research now, Career Services has copies of all of our evaluations. Okay. Yeah. Yep.
How many places is it recommended that we apply to?
Traditionally, I've always said start with 5 to 7, but I know that students have been applying to more like 7 to 10 to start with. I would say that that's probably plenty. There are students who will apply to more, but I think that should be plenty to get you started. And I will also say, we do have a weird kind of break in the LA culture. It's like there are a lot of people who leave town for the holidays. So a lot of companies will shut down or go to skeleton crew around the last 2 weeks of December. So if you're applying and say you're just so busy this semester and you don't get to send out your resumes and cover letters until you get on, you're on break, just keep in mind that you may not hear from these companies until after the first of the year, because they might be either closed or they've gone down to a very minimal crew. In which case, you would want to follow up with them again after the first of the year to make sure that they received your information. I would say anytime that you send out an application, this is another thing. Anytime you send out an application, as we start to get closer to the time of your departure, if you sent out information and you haven't heard from a company, just send them another follow-up email and I just wanted to email you and confirm that you received my information. I sent it on this date. I'm going to be in LA on this date for the spring semester and would love the opportunity to meet with you. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. You mentioned that a lot of the production companies, the applications are due this month. Do you know for marketing when most applications are due?
It can vary. It depends on the company. So I would say, again, if you're looking at some of the larger, if you want to work in the marketing department at, within NBC Universal, better to send it earlier rather than later. With some of the smaller companies, you can send it, a little bit later, and it's not going to make a huge difference. Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, if anything comes up, again, Larry and I are at your disposal in terms of answering any questions you might have, and we're really looking forward to working with you. This is going to be a whole new experience for us in the building as well, and so we're excited to be on this adventure with you. It'll be a great new year. All right, so we'll see you in January in LA.
Hi, I'm Turi. I was a senior when you guys were a freshman, so I think I know some of you still. But if not, I'm excited to meet you. I'm the residence director, so I'm in charge of housing and residence life stuff. So because I was here transitioning out to LA, I've done it. If you have questions, let me know. I will be living in this building with you, so we will truly be on this adventure together. It will be our new home. How many of you live off campus right now? So welcome back to the residence halls, everybody. The furniture is similar to Boston, but sort of like a more modern version of basically the same offerings. So when you're packing, make sure to pack twin extra long sheets, whatever else, like all of your clothes and whatever else you would bring for a dorm. So I don't know, like your Pulp Fiction poster or whatever you want to put in there. The suites are sort of set up most similarly to Colonial. It's a shared common area, like bathroom and hallway. And then the singles or doubles on, like off of that. We will have wireless internet and IPTV, which I guess is like internet TV. So you watch TV on your computer, which I think most people do anyway. But it'll be set up for that. The common area kitchen there's one kitchen on the 5th floor that like spills over into a patio with barbecues, and the kitchen itself will have stoves and ovens and all of that. So if you do want to cook, bring your own cooking utensils as well. So dorm, bedroom stuff, bathroom stuff, plus kitchen things if you choose to cook. You will have 1,800 board bucks to use at the Emerson Cafe, which should hopefully be enough. So if you don't really want to cook, that is your choice. There is a laundry room. I think most of the buildings on campus have this system already where you can go online and see which laundry rooms are being used and when they're free. And make sure you bring your Emerson ID card with you because that's how you'll pay for laundry, all of that. There's a fitness center. Not sure what equipment is going to be in there, but there will be a fitness center for you guys to use. And this is how you send yourself mail. Your name, the address, your room number, and then, LA, California. One note on the room number, it may seem a little confusing. A room number might say something like 6E-2-3. That's 6th floor, East Tower, suite number 2, and then room number 1 in the suite, or room number 3, whatever I said. I'll explain that again in an email when you guys get your placements. But you guys saw, the center stuff and then the 2 towers. That's what I'm talking about, like East and West Tower. So one reminder for you guys, the Boston housing rules that you've probably mostly forgotten now still apply at Emerson LA. So, toaster ovens, panini grills, things that create fire, we can't have in the dorm. The mini fridge size, pay attention to that. I think it's 3 cubic feet or like 3.1 cubic feet. The RAs can review some of the other rules with you that you may have forgotten, like medical amnesty, how much alcohol you can have in your room if you're 21, all of that kind of stuff. Heads up, we may have a few rules that are slightly different. For example, we're going to have a really strict DUI policy for obvious reasons. We also might have a slightly modified guest policy because we don't want you to pick up sketchy people from LA and bring them into our building. That kind of stuff. So we recognize that you're adults and we need to respect that because we want you to respect each other and the building and the space. So we're trying to meet you halfway, but we still want to keep everybody safe. If you need to remind yourself what stuff in your apartment you can actually bring to the dorm, the housing website, just like emerson.edu and then OHRL, they have all of that information. I think it's in the new students section, usually because freshmen are the ones that need to know what wattage of microwave they can have. So you can look that up online. Do you guys have any questions about that before I go into the housing application? Okay, cool. So did everybody raise your hand if you got the email with the housing application from me? Okay, great. So, and do any of you think you did not get that? I see some confused faces. Okay, so check your spam folder. And it's an email from T, and then my last name is Doust at ecla.edu. So look for an email from me, ask your friends for the link if you didn't get it, and then please let me know if I have your email address spelled wrong or something like that. But so if most of you have checked that out before, the housing application is basically like the Boston one, so if you guys have done that before, it's pretty self-explanatory. They're in suites, like I said, sort of like colonial. They're 4-, 5-, and 6-person suites. The 5-person suites are 5 singles. The 4-person suites are 2 singles and 1 double. And the 6-person suites are 2 doubles and 2 singles. Most of the building is singles, though. So don't stress too much about that if you were hoping to get a single. Go ahead and pick your roommates ahead of time if you want to pick roommates. Go ahead and get their Emerson ID numbers so that you can enter that into the housing application because that's how you identify who you're preferring to room with. Gender neutral housing is also part of the application. If you want to participate in that, it's like the page after the regular roommate page. The only thing that you'll have to do differently in addition to your roommate's Emerson ID numbers is write a little blurb about why you're choosing to participate in gender neutral housing instead. Gender neutral housing, you will have to have a complete suite. With other kinds of suites, if you only have 3 friends, but you're hoping to live in a 5-person suite, we can sort of adjust that. But with the gender neutral housing, you have to have completed the suite, and if one of you drops out, it sort of ruins the whole suite, unless you can identify somebody you can pull in. So keep all of that in mind. Any questions about that? Great. So it's available for edits until 11:59 Eastern Time on October 18th, which I think is next Friday. And then hopefully, if all goes well, I can send you guys out the placements by 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, because that'll be the end of my workday, on October 25th, which is a Monday. Oh, no, I think it's the next Friday. So that's what the placement will look like. Your building will be the tower, so it'll say like East Tower instead of Little Building, and then the room. Okay, questions about the housing application before I move on to the move-in sign-up? No questions are weird.
So I was like looking at when I should fly in, and like my dad was under the impression that it was like first come, like first pick your room. That's not right, right?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
No, I guess I don't really have anything else to say about that. That's just incorrect. You're about to find out the real version of what it's supposed to be, though. Oh, I'm sorry that he was under that impression. So the move-in sign-up, after you've gotten your placement, then you can sign up for a move-in time. I'm also going to make that an online process, so I'll send you the links. We're going to treat each tower sort of like a separate building. There is only one elevator per tower. So when you're all trying to move into the same tower and using the same elevator, it's gonna take a long time. And there are limited staff members to help you. So we really need you to pick your sign-in time and like commit to it. So I'll send, you know, the people living in the West Tower, the one sign-up sheet, and then the people living in the East Tower, another sign-up sheet, so that we know we have both towers happening at the same time instead of everybody signing up for the one. Okay. That'll be available at 7 a.m. your time on Monday, October 28th. Again, as long as all goes well. And then you have to have signed up by 11:59 on Sunday, November 24th, which is like right before Thanksgiving. So you have about a month to have figured out your travel close enough to estimate a move-in time. The 2 days of move-in are January 12th and January 13th. That's a Sunday and a Monday. We were hoping to avoid some LA traffic by starting you guys on a Sunday. They're 1 hour blocks of time. So if you sign up for January 12th between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m., you can move in anytime between that. However, if you are early, we're going to make you wait. And if you are late, we're going to have to just have you sit around until we have a break in the schedule. Because of, you know, the limitations of the building and the only one elevator to be moving people, we can't back everybody up because your schedule got backed up. The sign-up sheet is first come, first serve. So I don't know if that's maybe what your dad thought. But so the sign-up will be first come, first serve. If you already know like the exact time you want to get into that building and on the exact day, you could go ahead and sign up right at 7 a.m. And then pick your time. The sign-up sheet will basically just look like a grid that says January 12th, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., January 12th, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., and however many slots we've allotted for those. So you will like click on the slot you want. It'll ask you for information, your name, your email address, phone number, and room. But the only piece of information that will be public on the website is your name. So don't think that I'm like giving everybody each other's phone numbers through this site. And then you're locked in. So yes, it's first come, first serve. So make plans early, but not early enough that when you actually book your flight, you realize that that move-in time's not going to work anymore. Plan ahead. If you do need to change your move-in time, you'll have to contact me because I'm the admin of the website and all of that, and it gets kind of complicated because other people will have signed up, so know what you're committing to, I guess. Be realistic about your travel time. If you fly into LAX at 11, you're not going to make it to the building for the noon to 1 time slot. You're just probably not. So don't sign up until 1. So if you're flying into LAX, probably give yourself at least 2 hours. If you're flying into Burbank, which is a little bit closer, give yourself at least an hour. Okay? Any questions about that? Great. Okay, so that's coming. I'll send you an email and with these instructions again. On the day of move-in, we will have security officers helping you and possibly maintenance staff too with like the carts meeting you at your car. We'll have you pull into the loading dock area if you're driving a car instead of into the parking garage, just so that You know, we're not adding extra floors for you to have to move up through. You pull into the loading dock, the security officer will see if it's your move-in time or not, and then if it is, they'll help you get your stuff into carts. You'll come up to, I think, the second floor where the security desk is, where I or one of my staff members will be to check you in, give you your transponder, give you your keys, all of that, and then an RA will take you up to your room with your keys, show you where that is, how that works, and then you'll be moved in. I think that's it. This is how to get in touch with me. That's the office number, and that's my Emerson email address. I recognize that a lot of this is going to be new, and a lot of this information is sort of becoming available as we create it. So I really appreciate your patience with that. I know that that can be frustrating, but that being said, feel free, like, if information isn't ready for you yet and you need to know, ask us, and we'll try to get it as soon as we can.
Just real quick, you told us originally that your email was tdoust@ecla.edu, and now we have this one. Do you care which one we use?
No,
or-
I have two. So my emerson.edu mailbox has been like on the verge of full since my junior year. So I have to constantly like delete things from it. So normally when I'm sending out mass emails, I'll use my ECLA so that, you know, Outlook doesn't tell me, no, you can't send this. I think that we're hoping that it's just because I still have like an alumni or a staff student capacity and not staff, so hopefully it'll be fixed. Either should work though, just, you know, for an individual email. Oh, there's one behind you. Sorry for that confusion.
Do we have any idea of like how many spaces like for parking will be available? Is there enough for everyone?
So there will be empty floors this semester because, you know, the capacity of the building is much more than just this semester's worth of students. So you guys will have plenty of space to park.
Yeah, you can bring 5 cars.
No.
Yeah. Fancy for fancy occasions, and then. Any other questions? Any other questions about the building? I did walk through it on Friday. It's still, you know, pretty heavily under construction, but I got to see, oh, your rooms, they will have individual thermostats and all of that, ceiling fans, high ceilings. It's sort of like industrial chic, I guess. It's very modern. The whole building is very modern. So there's sort of like, you know, like exposed, like, vent piping at the top that's painted black, and sometimes one wall will be like all concrete, but all of your rooms should have floor to ceiling windows, which is pretty nice. So it should be nice. I mean, it's still a standard, you know, residence hall room, but it's definitely the upgraded version.
Isn't there something about either the windows or there are louvers on the windows because of the sun and?
So the building is basically a transformer and moves with the sun. The outside where your windows will be, there are like these, it looks like blinds that are like slatted, but they move on their own to like reflect the sun to keep the building cool or something. It's very fancy. We do have a pretty cool view of the Hollywood sign. Not from your rooms because the rooms are like perpendicular to the Hollywood sign, but when you come out, onto the balcony areas or onto the main area where the kitchen is or the grand staircase, you'll see the Hollywood sign. That's pretty cool. Anything else? Oh, wait for the mic.
Is there a pool at the residence? No.
I'm sad too. No.
So and all the beds are single?
Not all
twin?
of the beds are singles. There are singles and doubles.
No, not the bedrooms, like the bed, like the actual beds. It's like extra long.
Oh,
twin or
yes, they're
whatever?
extra long twins. Sorry, I misunderstood.
Okay.
They're extra long twin beds, yes.
Someone over here.
How do you get between the two towers? Is it just the lobby, or are there ways to get between?
So it is connected all the way through the 5th floor. You guys, unless something drastically changes, will be living from the 5th floor to the 10th floor. And then on the other tower from like the 6th floor and up. So you guys, you will have to, if you have like a friend in the opposite tower, you will have to come down to 5 and like walk across the terrace area and then come back up. Oh, a couple more questions.
How many floors are there in each tower?
10 Just 10. I mean, it looks like it's looming over Hollywood, but it's just because in LA everything's spread out instead of built up.
I have a question about like a meal plan or like what do we do for food so there isn't a dining hall?
There is basically an Emerson Cafe, but a bigger version called the Emerson Kitchen, which is sort of misleading. It's called the Emerson Kitchen, and they have board bucks, like board buck capabilities. And we're working on partnering with like other local restaurants so you can use your board bucks there, but I'm not sure what has been, formed right now for that. And then the common area kitchen that is an actual kitchen where you guys can cook if you so choose. But I think 1,800 board bucks will probably be fine for the most part for you guys. But if you want to cook, there is a kitchen. It has, grills if you want to barbecue things. It has the ovens and stoves and all that. Oh, sorry.
Does Sodexo control the Emerson Kitchen out there too?
Sodexo was part of Emerson LA first, so, but you guys are trying it. How is it? Meh? Better than Airmark? Okay. You guys are really selling it.
What is public transportation like around the building?
So I've never taken the bus system, so I'm not very familiar with where the buses stop. I'm sure there are bus stops within walking distance, but there's not one that I can think of like standing on the street corner where the building is like within view. There is not really a metro stop within easy walking distance. You can walk to it. It just depends on, your level of commitment to walking. There will be 2 zip cars there that, if you wanted to rent a car for just the days of your internship or just one like special day to drive to the beach or something like that. As Carrie said, the public transportation is not the preferred option for people that live in LA. It's just not. You are going to have trouble. You're going to have trouble grocery shopping if you choose to grocery shop, and going to do fun things unless you're willing to pay for cab or Uber or Lyft or something. You will be limited. It'll be a challenge, but it's not impossible. Sorry. Run, David, run.
So if we're like in like a 6-person suite, is there only one mini fridge / microwave allowed, or can we double up? Because if there's one for 6 people, it seems a little.
It would be per
person?
person
Okay.
bedroom, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I think that's it. If you think of anything, let me know.
Thank you, Turi. Can I turn this over to you? Okay, so let's see.
Oh, sorry. I'm actually going to put these in the lobby because we don't need you to rush the podium at the end of this.
There we go. Okay, so I just have a few things that I want to go over with you. Primarily about a little bit about the costs, a little bit about registration, courses, etc. So I'm going to just spend a little time. I'm going to try and get you out of here a little bit earlier than 8 if I can. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. On this booklet, which was emailed to everybody, so if you didn't get it, let us know. By the way, copies of this information were also emailed to your parents. So if they've been bugging you or asking you where is the information about LA, if we have their email address, they should have received it. If we don't have their email address, you need to let us know so that we can send it to them. We're not actually sending anything through the mail anymore. We're just doing it by email. So, but we do want your folks to have the information so that they know what's going on and that they can help you to prepare for this. So anyway, there is a breakdown of the costs. The tuition is exactly the same as what you would be paying if you were here in Boston, so there's no difference. In terms of the housing, as we've said, there are singles and doubles. And the prices as they're listed here are exactly the same as they would be for a single and a double in Boston. So that's none of that is any different. Where there are going to be additional costs, as I've already mentioned, there will be a charge for parking at the center. What we don't know yet is how that is going to be charged to you. I don't know if it's going to be a bill for the entire semester, or if it will be a monthly charge on your credit card, or how that's going to work. We just don't, that hasn't been settled yet. So that information will be coming to you as soon as possible. But you do need to prepare for that expense. Another thing to think about in terms of costs that for spending money and things like that, you're going to have to come up with a budget for gas. Those of you who live in California, is anybody a Californian here? Okay, so what are they charging for gas these days in California?
Last time I was there, I think it was like
$4.09 per gallon. All right, do you live in LA?
I live in Santa Barbara, which is 2 hours away.
Right. California has the most expensive gas in the United States. For many reasons. It's also the cleanest gas because they have very strict pollution standards in California. But you have to budget for gas. And remember that everything in LA, as Kevin said earlier, anywhere you're going is going to be at least an hour away. So you're going to be driving a lot of miles per week. So you need to come up with an estimate. I would say, what is the average commute for a student? 50 miles a day?
Probably on average, yeah. If you were commuting further, probably the furthest would be Santa Monica, and that would be about 25 miles, maybe a little bit less because it's Hollywood to Santa Monica versus Burbank.
Right, so if we're talking, as Carrie was saying, if you're talking Santa Monica, that's about 25 miles away. So if, every day, getting back and forth, you're talking 50 miles. So you need to start thinking about the fact that you're going to be driving a lot and you're going to be spending a fair amount of money on gas. Make that part of your budget for the semester. Your other expenses in terms of entertainment and things like that should be fairly comparable to what they are here in Boston. So I don't think that you're going to have to spend more on food or movies or anything like that. But there are some things that are more expensive, and gasoline is one of them. So does anybody have any questions about the costs or billing or anything like that?
Thanks. Just a quick question. It says that there's a health clinic fee. Do we have like a health center in LA?
No, and actually that's incorrect. So don't pay any attention to that. There is actually no health clinic in LA. So you will be actually not be charged the health clinic fee for the spring semester because there is no actual Emerson Health Clinic. Typically what students do is they rely on neighborhood health centers. If you have a medical condition that is going to require the services of a doctor, you need to find out, one, what doctors does your insurance cover? You need to find out if your insurance is going to cover you in the state of California. A lot of people assume that it will, and then they find out when they get there that it doesn't. So don't assume anything. Find out from your insurance company, are you going to be covered in the state of California? What doctors are part of the network? what hospitals, all of that information you want to find out before you get sick.
And regular prescriptions as well. Sometimes pharmacies won't take a standing prescription. Sorry.
No, the mic. I was saying the mic.
Oh, sometimes doctors won't take a standing prescription written by a doctor that's not in state. So if you have something that you need to take regularly, and then all of a sudden you run out and can't get it, depending on what that is, that might be a really scary situation for all of us. So just go ahead and make sure that's taken care of. Take care of yourself ahead of time.
Yeah, you might want to see if you can get a supply for 3 months, and just bring it all with you at the beginning of the semester.
There's also no counseling. There also isn't a counseling center on site. We do have some therapists we can refer you to, but we would recommend that you take a look at your insurance policy to make sure you know what you're covered for on the mental health side as well. Like I said, we can refer you to some therapists that we know we've worked with in the past and are good, but we don't. If you're not covered by Aetna insurance, it may cost a bit more out of pocket, so we want to make sure that you know what the costs are up front in case you do need to see a therapist.
Does anyone here actually have Emerson's health insurance policy, the Aetna Student Health? Okay, that actually is a very good insurance policy, and it will cover you anywhere in the United States. It actually cover you anywhere in the world. So that's actually very good coverage. But if you are insured through your parents, you need to check on that. I can't stress that enough. You don't want to find out after you get to LA that you don't have adequate health insurance coverage. So please, you or your parents do look into that. Any other questions about the costs associated with the program? Okay, so moving on to registration. The course schedule for the spring is not yet complete. What I can tell you is that we will be offering more courses in LA this spring than we've ever offered before. You guys are going to be the largest group we've ever had out there. And so we've had to add more classes to accommodate that. So there are going to be some brand new classes that we've never offered before. And some really interesting topics. We think that hope that you think that they're interesting as well. I will email the course schedule to you as soon as I possibly can. We're still making some adjustments to it at this point. It's pretty much all done, but we don't want to send it out until we know that it's final. So I will send you out a course schedule probably within the next couple of weeks, certainly by the end of October. As far as the process for registration, it's going to be exactly the same as the way you've always done it. So you're going to do it online. If you have to meet with your advisor to get your PIN number, you still have to do that. And I'll just tell you that sometimes the faculty advisors think that they don't advise students heading to LA. That's actually not correct. They are the only ones that have your PIN. So just gently tell them that. And they should at the very least be able to give you your PIN number. If you need advising, the advising center is always available to you. I am certainly available to you as well, but I can't advise 135 students. So, I'm hoping that you can make use of the resources that are already here for you on campus as far as advising is concerned. Everybody has to take a full course load. So everybody has to take 16 credits. As far as the internships are concerned, the only options are to do one 4-credit internship or one 8-credit internship. Those are the only options available. If you've already done an internship for credit, that means you can only do a 4-credit internship in LA. And based on how many internship credits you're doing, that is going to dictate how many hours you can spend at the internship site. A 4-credit internship, you can only do up to 16 hours a week. So that would be the equivalent of 2 days. There's a question back there.
Hi, I'm just currently in an internship program at Emerson, and it's part-time for credit, and we're allowed to do 16 to 24. Why is that different at the LA program?
For a 4-credit internship?
For a 4-credit internship, it has
The
to be a
laws in
minimum
the
of
state of
16.
California are different than they
Okay.
are in Massachusetts. I mean, I think that's the easiest way. The labor laws in California are very strict,
Okay.
particularly around internships. Carrie alluded earlier to some lawsuits around internships that have happened over the past couple of years. They really have, in many ways, put a chill through the entertainment industry as far as having interns is concerned. So we feel an obligation to follow the letter of the law absolutely. That's the only way we can protect you and protect us and protect the internship site, is by following the law. So, you know, we understand that you may want to put extra hours in, but that's not actually legal to do that. You cannot, in other words, you cannot volunteer your time at a for-profit company. That's not legal. So you have to stay, we have to obviously follow the law. So that's where those hourly times come in. So if you're doing an 8-credit internship, you can work up to 32 hours a week. You can do as little as 24, but you can work up to 32 hours a week. So it's basically 3 or 4 full working days on the internship. Now, I will tell you that the vast majority of students that go to LA do 8-credit internships. You will not have any problem finding an 8-credit internship, so don't be concerned about that. Don't feel like you have to hedge your bets and register for a 4-credit and then, you know, see what comes along. You should be able to get an 8-credit internship if that's what you want. Now, because of a weirdness in the banner system, it doesn't actually allow you to register for an 8-credit internship right off the bat. So when you go to register, and I will give you all the course numbers, all the CRN numbers that you need, when you go to register for an internship, you first have to register for a 4-credit internship. And then you have to go back and change the 4 credits to 8 credits. I don't know why it doesn't let you just register for 8 credits right in the beginning, but it doesn't. So I just wanted to, if it's not letting you register for an 8-credit internship, it's because you have to first register for a 4-credit internship. Then you can change it. So any questions about registration for classes?
So just double checking, when you say full course load and then 4 or 8 credit internships, those count as part of the...
That is part of your 16 credits, yes. The internship is a class. You're doing it for credit, you're doing it for a letter grade. So it is a class. So if you're doing an 8-credit internship, that means you'll be taking 2 classes. If you're doing a 4-credit internship, it means you'll be taking 3 classes. Okay? So actually right behind, there, yeah.
What is
right there.
I have a question. What is considered part of your major requirements if you're taking an 8-credit internship classes? Do only 4 of those count as like a requirement class, or?
It doesn't matter whether you do 4 or 8. It's only going to fulfill 1 requirement.
Okay.
So you can't fill 2 requirements by doing an 8-credit internship.
4 credits go towards your major and 4 are general elective credits, which is how you get the 8.
Okay.
So only 4 of them will count towards your major classes and probably like 1 elective in your major.
Okay.
The credits, all of the credits will count toward your degree, but only 4 of them will count toward your major. Okay? Question? Actually, whoop. I think he's next.
Are there any specific like prerequisites or major requirements for the LA classes, or are they going to be
There are
pretty...
some, yes. There are some classes that do have prerequisites, and that will be spelled out in the information that we send to you. One thing that I did want to make sure to mention is that we know that a lot of the visual media arts seniors have these new liberal arts requirements that they have to fulfill. We will be offering 2 sections of a course that we've been offering for many years called LA Stories. And we've gotten it approved to fulfill that upper level liberal arts requirement. So I actually went through all of your degree audits, and I could only find 21 people that still needed to take a liberal arts course. So those courses are going to be reserved for those people first, because they will not be able to graduate if they don't get that liberal arts course. Once we know that all of those people are set, then we can open it up to others who might want to just take the class because they're interested in the subject matter. But those lit courses will fulfill the upper level liberal arts requirement for VMA majors.
If you only have elective remaining credits left, that's not going to hinder you being allowed to go to LA, right? Like if you finished everything for your gen eds and everything for your major, and you only have like X number of credits left, that's okay?
That's not going to be a problem at all.
It may affect your financial aid a little.
Well, actually, if you need the credits to graduate, it won't.
Okay.
If you're taking credits above 128, 128 is the magic number that you all need to get to. Anything above 128 could affect your financial aid, but if it's credits that you need to get to 128, it won't affect anything. Any other questions about registration? Okay, so another thing, you should have received, I think they went out by email today, or within the last couple of days, some forms, a couple of forms that you need to fill out. One is just sort of a general information. We also need to have your health insurance information. The other one is called a graduation plan. The reason that we have all of you fill out this graduation plan is that the vast majority of you are planning to graduate in May. That's your plan. We need to make sure that you're going to get there. So that's why we require you to fill out this graduation plan. So we know that you know what you have to do to graduate. Ultimately, it is your responsibility to make sure that you are completing the requirements for your degree. It's not up to your advisor. They advise you, but they are not responsible for making sure that you graduate. You are responsible. You all have the ability to run a degree audit from eCommon, so there's no reason why you shouldn't know what courses you need to graduate, to finish. I will tell you that we had one student who discovered last week that he was taking the wrong course. That, to me, is unacceptable. There's no good reason why something like that should happen. Now, fortunately, we were able to work it out. But you don't want to find out in February that you're taking the wrong class and that you're not going to finish. Because then your only option is going to be come back to Boston, take a class here during the summer. They might allow you to do something online, but not if it's one of your major requirements. They won't let you do that. So if you have a major requirement that you've somehow forgotten about, you will have to come back to Boston to finish that class if you want to get your degree. So please, I can't stress this enough. You have to make sure. So that's what the graduation plan is about. So those 2 forms, the due date is on the form. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but it should be on the form. And you'll return them to our offices. You may not be aware that the International Study and External Programs Office actually moved. We're no longer in this building. We moved to the 10th floor of the Walker Building. So we have new space up there. So that's where you'll find us if you need to find us, is on the 10th floor of the Walker Building. Okay, let's see. I think that's about everything that we need to go over. Is there any questions about how to get to LA or what you're going to do about getting a car or having a car, or anything like that. Any questions at all? This is the time to get those questions answered.
I mean, I guess if you're bringing it up, just like the process of renting a car, like what is that process?
Well, traditionally in the past, we've had a relationship with Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and they've given a small discount to Emerson students. We're hoping that that will continue. There actually is an Enterprise Rent-A-Car that's not too far from the new building, and we're hoping that that arrangement will be able to continue, but that's not locked down yet. But, you know, that's traditionally what students have done if they were going to rent a car. The cost of renting a car depends on a number of things. It depends on how old you are. So if you're under the age of 21, if you're going to be under 21 when you're in LA, that is going to increase the cost. The other thing that you need to be aware of is that the costs that the company publishes, you know, they always have what they say are these great rates, but they don't tell you until you read the small print that it doesn't include taxes and it doesn't include insurance. So just beware of that. I would say that for those students who do rent cars, they're probably spending somewhere in the neighborhood of $600 to $700 a month minimum. That would be for like a subcompact. So when you realize how much a rental vehicle can cost, you know, there are some things that you may want to think about in terms of what is the best option for you to follow. You know, it may not be the best choice to rent a car. For instance, how many people here are planning to relocate to Los Angeles? Okay, that's a good chunk of you. If you're going to live in LA, you're going to need a car. It doesn't make any sense to spend close to $3,000 on a rental vehicle that you're going to have to turn in at the end of the semester, when you could be putting that money toward a lease or a car that you will own. It just doesn't make sense to spend that kind of money on a rental vehicle. Because with a rental vehicle, at the end of the time, the money's gone, you don't have a car. At least with a lease or purchasing, you've still got the car. And, you know, you can do with it whatever you want at that point, sell it to somebody else or whatever. But it's something to think about. Believe me, I'm not telling you to go out and buy a car. I'm just saying it may, you know, when you compare the costs, it may be a better option. Another thing that you should think about and also talk with your parents about is that it's probably going to be a lot cheaper for either your mom or your dad to rent a car than it's going to be for you to rent a car. So in the long run, it may be less expensive for them to let you take one of the family cars and for one of them to use a rental for 3 months. I get it. I understand your parents are probably going to go, you know, freak out. But if you think about the cost, that may make more sense. So it's something to talk with your parents about. Just a suggestion. Any other questions about transportation or anything like that? Turi actually very quickly mentioned earlier that there are actually 2 airports that you could potentially fly into. LAX is the big, huge, international Los Angeles airport. And that's where you're going to get the most flights into, probably the cheapest flights. The downside to LAX is that it's not in the center of the city. It's way down in the southern part of LA. If you're looking on this map, it's right here. And as we said, where you're going to be living is up in the Hollywood area. And there is also an airport in Burbank, Bob Hope International Airport. And it's a little bit closer. Probably the traffic will be a little bit better coming from the valley into downtown LA than it would be coming from the airport. The airport, you have to get on the 405 freeway, which is notoriously one of the most congested freeways in the country. If you can avoid that, you're ahead of the game right there. So again, something to think about. I do know that JetBlue flies into Burbank, I think from New York. I don't know if they do it nonstop from Boston, but I think they do it from New York. So that might be something to look into as well. Any other questions before we let you go? Anything at all? All right, if there are no more questions, we're going to wrap things up. Thank you very much for coming. We'll be in touch.